Hello and welcome to another video on my attempt to rise to 2400. I'm going to try playing another Blitz session with 5+4, which is the longest possible time to do a Blitz game. I've reset my parameters. I'm trying to only play people who are above 2100, so that's the min rating of my opponents until I decide that after I've lost a ton of games or I can't get any opponents, I'll have to switch it. Alright, so at the start we're playing a, I don't know, it's kind of like a, what's it called, Nimzo Larsen? There's a player I know who's a candidate master, like me, so sharing the rather dubious title of candidate master, who does this kind of setup a lot. Usually he kind of plays d4 as well, at some point, or he just plays a d4 opening. So he's playing this system. I generally don't like pawn on d5 because they can go knight e5, which can be an idea. I'm just going to see how they arrange their pieces. Bishop b5 is one of the more active moves, but I tend to find that's fine for me. Bishop d7 is usually okay. And I'm debating whether or not I finkesso on the king side. They have played d4, which is kind of what I expected. I will take, so that this way I've got two central pawns. They have a grand total of one central pawn, whichever way they capture. Yeah, pawn takes is the more natural move. Now, I'm not so certain what I want to do. I think release my bishop and then play e6 might be the best plan. White can go d5, but I tend to find that I can then reroute the knight to d7 via b8. It loses time, but I don't think it actually negatively impacts the position too much. And I also have queen a5 check as well, which nearly picks up the pawn. So white may be in trouble if they play d5. Yeah, knight d2 makes sense. Then e6, getting my bishop to e7, then I'll castle kingside and think about what to do next. If they go h3, it's interesting. I probably should... Yeah, they have done h3. So I don't think I should take their knight yet. I don't believe they'll play g4. It looks a bit too aggressive. I think something like bishop d3 or bishop e2 are probably better. And then they will both probably castle kingside. White will have a slight central space advantage. I'll have two central pawns, the small centre, and the game will continue. Yeah, bishop e2 is what I suspected. So bishop e7 looks like a natural continuation. I don't need to analyse too deeply here. And I suspect we'll both castle in the next move or two. I've built up nearly a minute's time advantage, so that's also going to be useful. Yeah, castles and castles. I don't need to castle on opposite sides. I'm black. I've got the slight disadvantage in space. You know, White's got maybe slightly better coordination between their pieces as well. Although actually their rooks are harder to connect because their queen can't move up. So their pieces are actually a bit further back than my pieces are. Perhaps I can do things like queen c7 and then rook to d8 and c8. Have the open file on the c file. And then the other rook can be on d8, I think. Maybe c8 and d8, c8 and e8 are better actually. Because I might want to go e5, which would potentially open up the centre. But just rook c8 is definitely the move I'm going to play though. So rook a c8 might be the best move, either this turn or next turn. And they're really thinking hard on this move. I'm wondering what they're planning. They could be thinking about playing g4, but I feel like that weakens their kingside too much. Knight g5 is a move, which may trade bishops and perhaps give them a slightly easier time. I'm not sure if I trade actually. I might go bishop g6. Because if I trade, it helps them, because, you know, who's better after the bishops come off? It's probably white, because then they've connected the rooks. But if I play bishop g6, then they play bishop f3, I can then go queen c7, and then they go queen e2, so I've kind of gained a tempo. a3, I did not expect that move. It's a pawn move. It looks a bit suspicious. Alright, rook c8. Let's play simple. Now, yeah, c4. So I'm guessing they wanted me to stop me going knight b4. Not totally certain that was necessary from white. Bishop g6 is a move here, but I think knight h4 could get the bishop pair. Let's see, e5 they go d5. d5, if they go c5, I have maybe b6 or maybe a5 then b6 to kind of clamp down on the queen side. There's also queen c7, which looks reasonable here, or queen b6. I'm not so sure. I'm going to try d5. So I've eventually played it, and this will give them a choice. It might then also gain me more time, essentially, or it might take them longer to decide what to do than it took me. So I am partly playing on the psychology here and the sort of abstract factors like the time, not the actual position on the board. Let's see what they do. Queen c2 might be a move for white, but then it does allow bishop g6 to come with tempo, also lining up with my rook, which doesn't look entirely right. I still haven't connected rooks though, so maybe I should move my queen next turn to maybe d6 or something, but it depends on what they play. Knight e4 is also a useful invasion of their half of the board. And this is the kind of position that I like playing, because it's about equal, as would be my guess. Maybe white has the advantage, but very small. I don't think it would be much of one, maybe like 0.3. And there's no sort of tactics, so I don't need to worry about that. They've got a lot less time than me now. They're nearly 3 minutes behind in a Blitz game. Okay, they've pushed c5. Now knight to e4 looks very natural here. Gaining me a bit of space, I can do, I think, again, a Soltis idea of, I think they call it Hill's Burial, when you have two pawns guarding a knight on that good outpost. So f5 would be good, and that way I've buried the knight in their half. If they ever take me, I would then take with my f pawn. If they take me straight away, I obviously would have to take with my d pawn here. Alright, queen c2. Now, is bishop g6 any good, is the big question. I think maybe just knight h4 might be a... Oh no, I can't do knight h4, I'd take with the bishop. Bishop d... Okay, so if I go bishop g6, they go bishop d3. I take their knight. I don't really see an advantage for me. Okay, forget that. Let's just continue with my plan. f5. Now, you may see that my bishop is pretty horrible on h5 in terms of pawn structures. It's a bad bishop, so I am planning to trade off at some time at some point for their knight or their bishop on f3 or e2. Be a simple way of getting rid of my worst piece. My bishop on e7 is quietly guarding a lot of squares. They've tried b4, so they're pressing on the queen side. I'm trying to go king side. Do I play a6 and play a pawn move just to try and slow them down? Or do I go, I don't know, queen c7 or something? I just don't like b5. No, I'm going to play a6. This slows them down because they can't play a4 straight away as b4 would be attacked. So they're going to have to take one extra move to guard it. They've played knight b3, which I was not looking at. Right, now is the time to decide how to attack the king side. I've got queen c7, queen e8, bishop f6, and a couple of other moves as well that improve my pieces. Don't really see what bishop f6 does, really. d4's guarded a lot, so it's hard to do that. Queen c7 might be good, but I am looking at queen e8. It just feels like the right plan, running over to their king side. Knight c1. Okay, I don't understand that move at all. Now, is bishop takes bishop knight or queen g6 better? I don't really know, because queen g6, knight to e5, knight takes knight, pawn takes, bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, and f4 maybe? That's a potential line. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes back, then queen g6. I don't know, white does something, knight e2. Oh, but then I have knight g5. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. Bishop takes knight. If they take with the pawn, they're in serious trouble, I think. So now, queen g6. Again, my knight is just so strong on e4 that it must be worth something here. My plan is actually maybe to go knight g5, which would attack h3 and f3 because their g2 pawn is pinned. I think I can still play it. I don't see what's wrong with this move, so let's do it. Knight g5. I think they're losing a pawn. Oh, but no, they can play king h1 actually, but then I just take their bishop anyway. I think, anyway. Yeah, I think taking their bishop might be good. Queen e2 is the move they've done, so knight takes h3 looks pretty clearly good. King somewhere. h2 would be my guess, but h2 is what they played. Okay, well, there's no reason to sack a piece. Knight g5 again, saving my knight. Knight f4. Can I go queen check is the big question. I don't see a win, but I do like checking. So Pat says he's a check. King g1. I don't actually see my win. This is a bit less than I was hoping for. Right, knight takes bishop. Queen takes bishop g5. That looks pretty solid. It defends my e6 pawn as well, which was being attacked. If they take me with the pawn, they lose their knight. So I'm now going to attempt to prove my advantage by maybe trading a couple of pieces. They no longer have the bishop pair either, so that was another reason I took the bishop. And knight h3, interesting move. Maybe just rook e8, playing sensible, be good. Yeah, oh wow, I'm never taking a draw from Rex. This just looks too good. Although I am struggling a little bit. Bishop f6 maybe is the best move. Yeah, bishop f6. I'm trying to play e5, but then again, d5 is being attacked by the queen. So rook d1 will be played, I expect. And then I might have to choose a different route. I'm trying to play on the king side in the center. That seems to be my trump card, my best place to play. I played g5 to go g4. They saw it instantly. Now g4 anyway. Doesn't that trap the knight? Oh, I missed bishop c1. Fine. Queen somewhere. Queen h4. Now when they play knight f5, I can take on d4. I think the knight taking must be best. Because I'm still hoping for things like knight to f3 with advantage. Though maybe I can play rook f7 first. Or rook e7, then play knight f3. Oh, then they have g3. Oh no, wow, they've taken me. Okay, wow, that was unexpected. Then knight takes e6. Okay, I'm going to have to think about this for a moment. Okay, so they took me, went there. Can I just take the knight? Oh no, I can't because it's check. What am I thinking? Oh wait, no, I know what I can do. Little tactic. Check, forcing them to take with the queen, and then g3, exclam. And queen h2 is coming, and I don't think they can defend themselves. They can't play queen e2 because I make them on h1 in 2 turns. Queen f3 is a move, but I'm still going to play queen f4 is what they've done. Can I play queen takes queen? Is that the easiest move? Just having a quick look to make sure I'm not playing anything stupid. Queen takes queen, bishop takes, rook f6, right? That seems to be the easy move. Yeah. If they do knight takes, by the way, I have to take their rook with checkmate. So rook f6, simple plan. I am losing the pawn, but I'm not too concerned with that. Rook e1, yeah, okay. And then I have a sort of silly move with f4. The idea behind it is to trade the rooks and attempt to give myself an easy win with this idea. So it's a bit simplistic, but it does yield some results. And yeah, I just have to make sure I'm not throwing it away here. Rook here. Bishop d2 is the move I'm expecting. Yeah, bishop d2 is what I expected to happen. Now they can't take on d5 because I checked them. Rook d3. Oh, okay. They did take me in defiance. Oh, and they resigned before I could do the move. Okay, that was good. That gave me a few points. So 23-30 is the goal. Before I end this video, hopefully it will still be possible. So I won one game. It's an interesting match. Right, let's see. Who are we going to play next? There's a few 2300s out there. They're wanting bullet games, which I just can't play on my laptop. Alright, who am I guessing? Milky Cow, I like that name. Alright, E4. Oh dear, we're getting an E5. Okay, fine. Vienna. I should really try playing natural moves at first, at times, but I just can't be bothered. Alright, let's just try, I don't know, let's try this. It looks fun. Knight takes. Now, from memory, I think knight f3 is the right move. So what this does is stops queen h4, guards e5. I mean, I know that this position technically is sort of considered good for black, but I do find it interesting to play. Now, if bishop h4, which is definitely a key move, I go g3. If I take their bishop, then they take with the queen, and they get this massive attack. So g3 is essentially forced. Oh, they've done knight takes. Alright, so we're in a kind of French defense type system, where their bishop is more useful. I've strengthened my centre, though. I've got a good central mass of pawns on d4, e5, 2 central pawns. I can also play c4 at some point to undouble. Bishop d3 is the move that is quite natural to play, so let's do bishop to d3. Black often goes c5, which they've just done here. And queen e2 would be a massive error because c4 traps the bishop. Now, if they go c4, they release all tension in the position. I don't think I can do the Greek gift. I spend a second or two looking just to make sure. Bishop takes h7, king takes, knight g5, bishop takes. So, no, I can't do it. I have to run away. Good, okay, so black has a bit of control in the centre and queen side with their pawns. I've also got control in the centre and queen side, and also king side with that e5 pawn. Now, a bit like the Grand Prix Sicilian, I'm going to manoeuvre the queen around the board to g3, try and aim towards their king. My pawns on c to e are kind of pointing in an arrow towards their king. So you look at the base of your pawn chain, then you continue the arrow. So I'm pointing over here. That means my attack is over there. I do not care at all about my c2 pawn. It's superfluous. It's just there. It exists. That's all that can be said for it. So bishop takes c2 is fine. I'll allow them to play that. All my attention is on the king side. If their attention is just on taking pawns, then I think I'll be doing well here. Bishop takes c2. I can play knight g5. I can do bishop h6, which is another option. I think knight g5 might be stronger, though. Let's do knight g5. It aims at f7. It develops a lot of... it improves a lot of my pieces. Both bishops are quite strong. The rook on f1 is also doing a good job. They now can't play bishop d3 without losing back the pawn that they just got off me. I'm wondering if they can play h6. But I think I potentially could sack on f7. But if I want to play safe, there's always knight h3 to f4, which would attempt to go to h5 and mate them, or to control e6 and g6. And also knight h3 immediately threatens bishop takes h6, because their g6 pawn will be pinned. A g7 pawn will be pinned. And if they do nothing, if they play like rook c8, I think e6 might be very strong. Let's see what they do. And I've got a spectator. I've got an FM. Matrix reference there. Morpheus Reloaded. So I like that name. All right. They're down about a minute and a half. That's good. I like being ahead on time. Wow. Okay. They basically did almost the exact move I said they might do as like a waste of a move. Rook b8 does defend the b pawn. They're trying to play b5, but I'm going to charge at them. e6 just looks quite nice. If they take me, I take with the knight and I fork. If they take my knight with the bishop, I could do bishop takes back, but I also have e takes f7 check, which might be stronger. Yeah, I think it might be stronger actually. So if bishop takes knight, pawn takes pawn check, rook takes back, then bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, and I've connected my rooks. So if they take on f1 check, I take back with the other rook, and I've developed everything. So that's looking quite nice. And actually, I also have rook takes rook, which would make them take with their king, and then their king's horrible. So that might be even stronger. I'm just getting so many good moves. So many options. I'm not sure which one's best, but yeah, I quite like that forcing sequence. If they go bishop takes knight here, and I do pawn takes pawn, then king h8, I suspect then taking on g5 is correct with the bishop, and they've again got their king in a kind of mess on their king side. Wow, they broke the rule never play f6. Alright, time to jump in with the knight. This looks way too strong to avoid playing it. King h8 is not an option at all, so they can't ever sidestep. If they go queen, I don't know, e8? Queen c, okay, I was close, queen c8. They do that, I have bishop h6, I think. Oh, but then bishop g6 is annoying. That's annoying, actually, bishop g6. So what should I do here? Maybe I should have to play bishop g4, but I don't like that idea. Knight h6 might get a draw, though. It's a bit boring. Alright, bishop h5, queen takes pawn. Yeah, I'm going to have to play the boring move, bishop g4. Then f5, I didn't actually look at that. Alright, bishop takes, bishop takes. Do I do rook takes or knight h6? One must be better than the other. Maybe knight h6 just for fun. Yeah, let's do it. Knight h6 for fun. And then one of my favourite moves, knight f5. Attacking g7 with a mate threat. Hitting their bishop as well. Also kind of indirectly defending the e6 pawn because they can't take it straight away. They could sack the exchange potentially with rook takes, but that looks much too weak. Now, how to defend? I can't defend my pawn easily, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to gain a tempo. Bishop f4, attacking that b8 rook, which was so useless. When they move it to a8, I can play rook a to e1. I defend my e pawn at last. I must have an advantage. Right, this is looking quite nice. My knight's not defended, so I have to keep an eye on it. But there's not really a good way for black to attack me. If they move their bishop on f6 anywhere, I can always checkmate them. Or if they take on d4 check, I can take with my knight, and I save the knight one apiece. So I don't see what they're doing with my knight being weak. Let's see, how would they play this? Knight to e7 is a move. Then I do have bishop d6 if I want to. I've got knight takes knight as well. And then bishop e5. Yeah, I just like my position. I've got so many good pieces kind of lined up. Let's see what they're going to do. With 55 seconds on their clock, I'm up 3 minutes again. I quite like this this time limit with the increments. I'm not really in the blunder zone yet, so I can not relax, but I can be fairly confident of being able to analyze positions without the dreaded clock ticking away. Okay, they played b5. They're trying some sort of attack. I do have bishop d6. Yeah, bishop d6 looks good. The idea might just be to go e7. I'm not totally sure what they're going to do. Rook e8 looks to me like the best move. Then e7. Yeah, e7 looks solid. Let's do e7. I'm paralyzing them. If they take with their knight, then I take with my knight. They take with their bishop. I take with my rook. They take with their rook. I take with my bishop. So I've got just enough on it. They have played g6. Wow, that looks so dangerous. All right. Jump in, knight h6. I'm attacking their bishop. Knight f7 is a check. Wow, they've done this move. Can I do it? Okay, this is just so nasty. I'm going to play it. This just looks fun. I was thinking bishop g7 would be their move. This is just funny. Queen. They didn't. Okay, fine. All right. So if they took my queen, I took with my bishop. Checkmate. They actually don't have a way out. So I mean, bishop takes was just as good, but I do like mating in those sort of ways. Right. So 23-13. That's good for me. back up to where I was like a day ago. I keep having like a winning streak and I lose one game and then lose like 12 points, and that takes away about 4 or 5 wins. Right, it's been 25 minutes. Maybe if it's under an hour, I reckon I could show all the games before I reach 23:30. I basically need to win maybe 2 or 3 more games, playing sort of 2200s or 2100s. 2166, that's good for me. Let's do a Sicilian yet again. Try and gain some points. Which one do I want to do? I'll go D6 this time. Try and vary my Sicilians. Then capture and knight F6. I have played against the Maroczy bind before, where they play pawn C4, but I don't really fancy playing it now. G6 is interesting. I'm going to do A6 and see what they do. It's like the main line these days. Bishop E2. This is what Nigel Short played against me in a simul about 13 years ago. And he played, I think, 15 people at once, and he got something like 14 wins, and I drew with him, luckily, but it was completely winning. He just missed a tactic at the very end, which allowed me to do a perpetual check. I was about 160 at the time, ECF, which is equivalent to approximately 1800 or 1900 in FIDE ratings. So that boosted my confidence a lot, and I then had a great season and jumped up to, I think, 194 ECF, which is equivalent to 2150 in FIDE ratings. Alright, bishop f1 is a bit unusual. H6 is a move here, but I don't like moving the pawns. So knight bd7 looks pretty solid. Knight d5, okay. Alright, I can take this without losing my bishop pair. Then the classic bishop g4, trying to gain a little bit of control. They played c4. Alright, can I go f5? Why not? Let's go f5. King's Indian style, or Old Indian style. h3, do I take or not? I could take. Then maybe play knight c5? Yeah, actually, no, forget this. Why do I need to take them? There's no obligation. Keep the pin, keep them tied up. I don't have any kind of tactic. There's no reason to release the tension right away. Now, b5 is potentially a move, but I do quite like rook c8 as an option. Kind of makes them go b3, so this is useful. Stops b4. There you go, they go on b3. Because if they went b4, I could take their knight on f3 then. If they took with their bishop, they'd no longer be guarding c4, so they'd have to double up their pawns and have a horrible looking position. Knight c5 is interesting. Knight c f6 I don't like so much. It allows knight g5s. So knight c5. I'm potentially jumping to e4, then to c3. So active knight. I've got fairly good bishops. The centre's still a little bit blocked in, so they can't yet reach their full potential. But I do think generally they're pretty good. Then what else could they do? They could play bishop b2 here, I guess, to kind of think SO and try and connect their pieces together. I didn't think knight takes e5 works. I did look at this briefly, but I think I just take their bishop first, then they take back, and then I take their knight on e5. Oh, actually, they might have knight d4. I didn't see that. They could have knight d4, actually, and then if I take their bishop, they take back with the knight. But I think that will generally help me, because their knight would be silly on e2. Alright, bishop b2 has been played. Maybe I'm doing this thing. Maybe I'm playing chess all wrong. I'm just thinking about shuffling my queen to e8 all the time as black and e1 as white all the time. This is looking a bit ridiculous, but actually it might be quite strong. Queen to e8 with the idea of queen g6 with an attack on the king side. Doesn't matter what the opening is, I seem to be getting the same ideas. If I don't lose this game horribly and then give up in disgust, I'm going to see if I play d4, I probably won't play queen e1. So I'll try d4 as white next game. I am down a little bit on time because I've had to be analysing a few positions and playing it carefully. Alright, knight d4 is the move, so I will capture their bishop. Just try and keep my plus. Now, if queen takes bishop, I can't really take their knight yet, because bishop on e7 would get taken, so I'm going to move the bishop. Bishop f6 looks okay at first, but they take on f5. So bishop g5 then. Now their knight is being attacked. So if they go knight e6, I can trade. If knight f3, then bishop f6. They can't take on f5 anymore. Haha. I've got a bit more space, I think. Oh, actually, it's pretty close, actually, because their d5 pawn is making up for the fact that I have two pawns kind of controlling the centre. They're kind of cramping me a little. But enough pieces have been traded that a space advantage won't be a death knell to either side, really. b4, knight to e4 looks correct, but knight to e4, I don't really see where it's going, though. That's the trouble. They go knight d2, potentially. Trade off. What about knight a4? They play bishop c1, then e4. Okay, I've got a little trap. Let's play this. Knight to a4 with the idea of knight takes bishop. So what do they have to do? What, rook c1 to guard c4? Because if I take their bishop, they take back with the queen. Not only would I have pawn e4 doing an attack on their knight, their queen, and a skewer on their queen and rook from my f6 bishop, but also c4 would be attacked by my rook and not defended. So they have to defend it in some way. And if bishop moves off the long diagonal, I can play e4 again with an attack on their rook and their f3 knight. So my pieces are looking very, very well placed. Rook c1's been chosen. Right, time to trade off. And then when they take back, I'll then analyse if e4's any good. Right, so e4. Oh yeah, my queen's on the same line as their rook. Oh, that's annoying. So they just move their queen out of the way and they'll be fine. What about queen g6? Does that do anything? I don't know, but queen. I'm a bit lower on time by a few seconds. I'm just going to go queen g6. It's a safety move, and if they don't do anything, e4 could be dangerous. So I'm not going to make too many pawn moves without good reason. Maybe e4 is better, but this is just looking pretty safe. What are they going to do? They could do knight to like d2, but that must help me. I suspect moving their queen is correct. Maybe a3 with the idea of c5, or even b3 with the idea of c5, and then discovered attack on my king in some way, some sort of check with d6 check. And there is a lot of consensus among grandmasters where they generally think bishops are better than knights the longer the game goes on. So I am liking my bishop. Now, which square do I go? I have to go forwards with the bishop. So there's e5, which centralizes, but it doesn't stop c5. That's the downside. There's bishop d4, which does kind of line up with their king, and it does potentially weaken c5, but they could still technically play it. Bishop g5 attacks their knight, but they defend it. Okay, what about a pawn move b6? Does that do anything? Yeah, I might have to make a pawn move for a moment. Don't like making the pawn move. I felt like my bishop should move, or my maybe my c8 rook, but I wanted to keep it on the c file, preventing white's break with c5. I think this prevents it anyway. I hope it does. Otherwise I might be a lot worse. I suspect I can just take on c5 a bunch of times if they push, and then d6 check, I just move the king and I should be fine. Right, let's see. Rook c2. So yeah, they're trying to play this move. Alright, now I either play bishop d4 or bishop g5 to kind of deflect them away. Bishop d4. Yeah, bishop d4 just looks more active. I don't know. Bishop g5 would kind of pin their knight to their rook on c1 if they play rook ec1, but it blocks in my queen, which I don't like. And this is kind of multi-purpose. I'm potentially sacking on f2, given the right circumstances. I've got c5 under control. And also my rook on f8 is uninhibited. So that means I can push the f pawn to f3 coming up. This is looking very, very good. Rook d1. Can I play f3? That's the critical line. f3, g3. Bishop e5. I can't quite see a sack, though. This is what's troubling me. Alright, well, there's a saying I have, always play f6 when you're white, so I guess the mirror must be true. Always play f3 when you're black. Right, bishop e5 getting out of the way of their attacks. I potentially have bishop takes g3 if they move their knight, so I'm dominating their knight. It's a domination. But I can't really see the win, that's the trouble. Unless I don't know, somehow swing my rook up with like rook f5, rook h5. Try and hit their h3 pawn. And then infiltrate with the queen. Queen e3 has been chosen, that looks good. Actually, rook f5 doesn't work, but queen f5 might work. Hitting h3, this is looking awkward. King h2. Now I can swing the rook up to f6 and h6, I think. They can't move their g-pawn because they're pinned. Yeah, this looks really, really strong. I mean, we're both down to 2 minutes, so I don't technically need to play the best move on the board every time, just moves that make them spend more time thinking, but I'm trying to crash through with a mate. I am aware they could play c5, but I think my attack is just too quick. And their queen, it's a bit like King's Indian, really. Their queenside attack will eventually crash through, but if my kingside attack works, I win by checkmate, so it won't matter if their queenside is better. And I've still built up a good advantage on time, with them having less than a minute, me having almost 2 minutes. Very hard for them to defend this. They could do h4, I guess, but the trouble with h4 is that rook h6 I can then take on h4 anyway, because their g3 pawn is pinned the whole time. So rook 8, if they go h4, rook h6, king g1, queen h3, and I'm then mating them on g2. Not at all easy to defend this. It's looking very, very nice. What could they? I'm just trying to find moves. It's very difficult to find the right move for white. I mean, their rooks are useless. Their knight's dominated. Well, I guess not anymore. So knight d2 maybe? But I don't see how that stops rook h6. They have to give up their queen if they're not careful. Okay, I won on time. Hooray! I only gained 3 points. That's a bit harsh. Beating a 2160. I thought I'd gain a few more. Alright, fine. So, okay, 2316. Thought I'd be able to just win like 1 or 2 more games and I would be 2330 without any problem. But I may have to play another like 4 or 5 games at this rate if I'm gaining just a few points per match. Ooh, 5 plus 2 with a 2263. The time limit is a bit quick. Alright, d4. This will prevent me having to do queen e1 at any time. Knight f6. Alright, let's do a regular opening. e6. Knight f3. So we could go into a Bogo Indian with check. I'm going to block with the bishop rather than the knight. I don't really like Queen's Indians too much. Now, knight takes is not the move I used to play, but I've come around to liking it more. Then e3 or e4. I'm going to play carefully with e3. e4 is the more aggressive line, but I don't really like blocking the position too much unless I know it's going to really benefit me. So queen e7. Now queen. I don't really want to castle yet. It's a bit too early to be losing a tempo in the centre. Let's play queen c2 to aim at them. Now e4 is a move they can do, but I have just enough pieces on it. So yeah, now I'll castle, because the centre could be opened next turn. Rook e8. Oh yeah, now they're going to go e4, aren't they? I don't really want to close it up though, so let's go knight e4. That's like the only move I see that prevents the centre closing. And I've still got a little bit of attack on h7. And let's pre-move just for... Oh, okay, I was about to pre-move that move, but they played it too quick. G6 is my guess as to what they do. Then rook fe1, potentially? Yeah, rook fe1, then I can play rook a d1 or rook a c1. I can't help feeling like I've got a slight advantage. I'm guessing they do something like knight d7 and we're about equal. Oh, c6, yeah, makes sense. Stopping bishop takes b7 at any time. Alright, rook d1. Oh, but then they go f5. Oh, actually, that's a bit dangerous. They could go f5 here. Then bishop d3, then e4. Actually, I have to be a bit wary here. Let's see, what do I do? Okay, so I could move my queen, allowing bishop c2. That looks very flexible. I don't really want to make pawn moves. Knight moves are good. Knight d2, possibly, but that weakens d4. I don't like moving backwards, so let's do queen c3. This also, it kind of attacks e5, potentially, so it has some bonuses to it. And it gives my bishop c2 to run away, and then bishop b3 or something in the future. Because queen b3, my bishop might want to go there, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to somehow take on b7 unless they blunder. So I always try to assume they're going to play the right moves or play something good, unless I have no choice but to try and trick them and do traps. Alright, well I'm going to have to play bishop c2 anyway quite soon, so I may as well do it first. I still don't really know where my a1 rook is going. That way, if I keep it flexible and don't lose a tempo with a rook move and then having to move it to its, in the end, correct square. Alright, so c5 in a kind of King's Indian style is interesting. That would potentially open things up. So c5, e4 takes on d6, then it's not totally closed. c5 takes, knight takes. Yeah, I like c5. This way the game won't be utterly closed up. I've broken on the queen side. So that means my rook probably wants to go to c1 or d1, but again, I don't quite know. d1 is more likely to be an open file. Oh wow, they took me on d4. Okay, pawn takes. I'm just about defending my rook enough. I've got 3 pieces guarding it. Bishop e6. Ooh, I can't do d5. It doesn't work. Bishop b3, they go... I don't know. They could go d5, actually, but they could also go queen d7 and be fine. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes. I don't really have much. Interesting. Alright, well I want to get an octopus knight, so I want to play knight d6 at the right moment. So I can't do that yet, because it's illegal. So I'm going to try swinging my knight around to either c4 or e4, then playing knight d6, getting a very, very strong knight. And again, I'm guarding my rook enough at the moment, because they can't even take it. If they do some weird move like bishop takes a2, I can take their queen first, and then not take their bishop. And actually I have knight f1 as well, so I could even take the bishop. Anyway, I'm guessing they're going to take me on c5. I will take back with the pawn. No, they sneaky, they played d5. So this move does stop my octopus with knight d6. But what it does, it doesn't have tension anymore. Therefore, my rook on a1 probably can't really do much for a very long time on the queen side. Therefore, I should put it on e1 square. That's the only open file. So I should lift my rooks. Rook e2 would not give me as many options. So this way I have rook f3, g3, h3, for example. Rook a to e1. There's no threat that I can see, so rook a, e1. And my knight, while looking like it's done something silly, because it will have to run back to either f3 or then f1, g3, I have forced black to close up the queen side. So that means king side is the only place to go. And their bishop is a bad bishop. They can't really do much with it. Let's see, what next? Bishop d7, yeah, that makes sense. So do I solidify with b4? Do I go knight f3? Or do I do knight f1? Alright, well I want to close everything up on the queen side. I don't want to have to stretch my stretch my defences. So a4, rook takes. I suspect rook takes is okay. I don't really want to play queen takes in case of rook e8. So yeah, rook takes, rook e8. Yeah, alright, so I'm going to take them. Then they're going to take back the bishop. Now, I could go queen e3. I could do knight f3, or I could do knight f1. Actually, okay, so I can't do the octopus. What I can do is go knight to e5, though. So knight to e5 is my next destination for my knight. And ideally, I actually want to trade off my bishop for their knight. So I'll be able to keep my knight on e5 forever, and their bishop will be awful. So knight to e6, improving. Knight to e5. Oh, but then queen f4. Alright, so to stop queen f4, let's first centralize the queen. Just making sure that I'm not blundering away. Now, knight to e5 now might be quite good. Yeah, let's go for it. Knight to e5. Bishop, I don't know, c8 or e8 is probably correct. They've done c8. Time to centralize the bishop as well. Bishop d3, stopping any nasty checkmates in the future because I have bishop f1. King g7, yeah, that makes sense. Alright, g3 prevents any knight f4s, knife f4s. So g3 looks pretty sensible. And, oh wow, h5, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Do I go h4? It's hard for me to break through, actually. I need to spend about 10 seconds on this. I don't want to spend much longer, otherwise I'll be losing on time. If f4 or h4, I weaken my king without really doing much on the king side. I may have to tack. I've got a bit of space on the queen side, so I'm going to see if b4, b5 does anything. I kind of half had that in mind just in case, if I ever needed to, with bishop d3. I didn't think it would happen straight away, though. So I'm going to just see if I can smash my way through on the queen side here. The bishop's a multi-purpose piece. It's guarding f1 in case of emergency. It's hitting the king side with sort of g6, f5 controlled, and the queen side as well. So it's a great bishop. Again, my knight is dominating their knight. They have taken me. So bishop takes does look tempting, but pawn takes looks better. I've now got a potential passer. Bishop f5. Ooh, do I want to take? So bishop takes bishop, queen takes, c6? Yeah, let's do it. Again, it's a case of domination. I'm hoping that my knight is stronger than their one. So that'll be good for me. My queen is about as good as their queen, I think. And I've got a passed pawn, which is stronger than their passed pawn. Now, just to make sure that I don't allow knight g5 with a strong attack, I'm just going to make sure of my defences. And let me guess, a5 might happen. They're going to try pushing their pawns. My idea is to play queen c3 with c7 on the cards. I'm actually now the one who's a bit lower on time because there's increment. Ooh, I didn't see that. Queen c2. Alright. I'm defending enough, but f6 is the annoying move. And I can't. My queen's tied down to d4. My knight's tied down to the pawn. My king moves are useless. They'll just play a5, a4, a3. Oh, wait. Okay. What about queen f3 attacking their f7 pawn? Then if they take on d4, I might win anyway. So queen f3. If they do queen f5, I'm just winning. I think I can trade queens. Actually, no, I've taken on d5. Actually, it's much easier. Yeah, trading queens is more difficult, to be honest, because they have the outside passer, and I can't play c7 that I thought I could play. So actually, queen takes d5 is easier. Knight takes d4 is the only move that gives me pause, but I think queen takes f7 wins by mate in the next move or two. Oh, actually, knight takes d4, queen takes f7, king h6. I can't take on g6 because their queen's there. But maybe queen f8 is good enough. And then I sort of come in with like knight f7 or something. It looks good either way. It's probably the only move I can do that's active. And if, I don't know, they check me with the... they check me, I'll just play king g2 or something, stop all the checks. I don't really want to go king h2 because it would weaken f2. And that could be somewhere they could go when they deflect my queen away. So yeah, king g2 if they check me. Queen f5, right, so we're in the position I thought we'd have. I'm going to take their pawn. Trading queens looks too complicated. Now, knight c7 is a move. They've done g5 instead. I can't work this out. I'm going to just take there. If they take with their knight, I go c7, I think. I'm really hoping I don't get mated. c7. Now, where are they going to go? I mean, technically, though, yeah, their queen's hitting the square. Oh dear, queen d7? Yeah, queen d7. We're both down to increment, basically. Oh, queen b1. Queen b1, queen b1, queen b1. King h2. Just about defending myself. Queen f1. Okay, okay. Oh, good lord. Okay, queen f5. I'm going to pre-move pawn, king takes pawn, because I think that's what they're going to play. f6. Do I mate them? Queen here? Okay, and I go queen h8. Wow. Okay, that was very, very close. That was too close for comfort there. That was very, very difficult. So there's queen and knights are deadly. I got a bit lucky in that game. Whew. Alright, so I managed to just barely win. See, with that increment of 2 seconds instead of 4 seconds, I was down to, what was that, like 6 seconds or something at one point? Or a bit less, maybe 3 seconds. So I do need this increment because of my indecisiveness, and also I partly blame my computer. It's a bit mean, I mean, all the wonders of the internet and stuff. 52 minutes has been the length of this video at the moment. I'll try playing one more game if I can, but I'll wait, say, 10 more seconds. If I don't get a partner in 10 seconds, I will actually end the video here. I managed to get 23, 21, so that's not a disaster. So gaining about 10 points or so. Alright, and 3, 2, 1. I don't think I'll get anyone else now, so I will actually end the video here. And hope you found that entertaining or got something useful from the various matches I played. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.